Imagine waking up every morning knowing that today could be your last just because of your job. We're not talking about stunt doubles or military personnel in war zones. We're talking about real, legal, full-time professions where danger is just part of the daily grind. These aren't your average office gigs. These are jobs that flirt with death every single day. In this video, we're rediving into the top 10 most dangerous jobs in the world, the kind of work where one slip-up means disaster. The big question is, would you survive even a single day doing one of these? You're out at sea for weeks, often in pitch black. Darkness hauling in 800-pound crab pots that could crush you instantly if one slips. One wrong move, one rope caught around your ankle, and you're gone. Swept overboard into waters so cold you'd die from hypothermia in under 5 minutes. Let's begin with one that takes us to the skies, literally. #10. Alaskan king crab fisherman. The deadliest catch isn't just a TV show. Why? Because one successful king crab season can earn a deckhand upwards of $50,000 in just a few weeks. Some veterans make 6 figures in under 3 months. For people from rural towns with few job options, the gamble feels worth it. But is that enough to face death every morning? Open seas, fresh air, a hard day's work on the water, high-rise window cleaner, one sway, one scream, then silence. Remember this. Someone had to dangle hundreds of feet in the air to clean that glass off, and with nothing more than a rope harness, a scaffold, and sheer guts. But if you're fishing for king crab in the Bering Sea, you're in one of the deadliest professions on Earth. At its peak, nearly 300 deaths per 100,000 workers. That's over 70 times. It's more dangerous than the average American job. A gust of wind at the wrong moment, a frayed cable, a mechanical failure, and it's a free fall to certain death. In cities with sky-high unemployment, danger becomes a footnote in the job listing. In Africa, high-rise cleaners wear no helmets, no gloves, and often just flip-flops. Then there's the sunburn, dehydration, vertigo from standing on platforms no wider than a skateboard hundreds of feet above traffic. Instead of automated pulleys, they rely on homemade rope rigs, some tied off to bathroom plumbing or tree trunks on nearby rooftops. Because the anchor point for his rope was attached to a wooden chair inside the apartment he was cleaning, the chair slid. The man didn't survive. For nearly 90 minutes, they clung to their gear while rescue crews scrambled to cut through a triple-paned window. They were pulled in just minutes before their rig gave out completely. That was a lucky escape. But dozens aren't so lucky. At first glance, being a crab fisherman sounds almost relaxing. Why? Because they know if they fall in, no one is jumping in after them. Rescue boats take too long. Survival suits help, but they're bulky and slow you down. It's most accepted. If you go overboard, you're not coming back. Imagine 40-foot waves crashing against your boat in sub-zero temperatures. In fact, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics has repeatedly listed Alaskan crab fishing as having one of the highest fatality rates of any job. Crews face crushing injuries, amputations, and exhaustion. Imagine working 20-hour shifts in sleet and ice, trying to stay awake as metal cages swing inches from your head. On some vessels, sleep is a luxury you don't get until the hull is in. And it's not just drowning. Here's a chilling detail. Many fishermen don't even learn how to swim. Some captains even run man-overboard drills, using mannequins not to save someone, but to recover a body. And yet, they keep coming back, season after season. #9. Next time you're in a skyscraper and look out of a spotless window. High-rise window cleaning is a death-defying job that demands physical stamina, laser-sharp focus, and a complete lack of fear. In 2014, 2 window cleaners in New York were trapped on a collapsing scaffold near the 68th floor of One World Trade Center. Now imagine working in places without strict OSHA regulations. In parts of Southeast Asia, South America, aside from falling, these workers face constant exposure to harsh cleaning chemicals, ammonia, bleach, and solvents that can cause permanent eye and lung damage. In 2021, a shocking incident in Sao Paulo saw a worker fall 15 stories, and yet people take these jobs because they pay well, sometimes 2 to 3 times more than a ground-level janitor. Would you strap yourself to a window 60 floors up just to feed your family? #8. Deep sea saturation diver. Living in a steel tube at the bottom of the ocean, if you think scuba diving sounds exciting, Try descending over 1,000 feet into the black, freezing void of the ocean floor for days or even weeks at a time. That's the world of saturation diving, and it's one of the most extreme, claustrophobic, and high-risk jobs known to man. But they don't just dive and surface. The pressure at those depths would kill a normal diver in minutes. So instead, they live in pressurized chambers metal pods, no bigger than a small bathroom for up to 28 days straight, not being able to leave a cramped steel tube shared with 3 other men, breathing a helium-oxygen mix that makes your voice sound like a cartoon chipmunk, eating rehydrated food while floating, no phone, no internet, no real privacy, just pressure, constant pressure. Saturation divers are elite professionals hired by oil and gas companies to perform construction, welding, and inspections on underwater pipelines and rigs. But there is a much more volatile side to this industry. The people who blow holes into mountains, tunnels, and underground rock using high explosives, and in methane gas pockets, poor ventilation, falling debris, and sudden cave-ins. And you have a job where just showing up means dancing with death. Meet the blasters, the demolition experts, who work deep underground or in unstable terrain, setting charges and pushing the button that makes mountains move. In 2010, the Upper Big Branch mine disaster in West Virginia killed 29 workers after a methane explosion ignited due to poor safety practices and mistimed detonations. And in many parts of the world, like South Africa or China, accidents happen regularly due to lack of regulation, faulty equipment, or pure human error. A decompression chamber accidentally depressurized in less than a second, literally exploding the bodies of the divers inside. And for those raised in mining communities, it's a rite of passage. Generations have followed their fathers into the tunnels. It's tradition, but also tragedy waiting to strike. Judge the timing by even 1/10 of a second. And the entire formation could collapse unpredictably, crushing workers or causing millions in damage. Unexploded charges can lie dormant, waiting for a poor soul to unknowingly trigger them. Some blasters have lost limbs or eyesight from delayed explosions or faulty equipment. Others have simply vanished in cloudbursts of rock and dust. No warning. No chance. That's why blasters are required to undergo specialized licensing, certification, and hours of hands-on training, followed by inspections before every single detonation. It was so violent, it remains one of the most horrifying industrial accidents ever recorded. A single mistake, like a rip in the suit, a wrong decompression calculation, or equipment failure can cause nitrogen narcosis, embolism, paralysis, or instant death. These setups are literal death traps. There are stories of teens using dynamite sticks with cigarette fuses. It's horrifying, but also tragically common. Every morning, they enter a diving bell that slowly lowers them into the ocean abyss, where they work in total darkness, surrounded by crushing pressure, with only their breathing and a small light to keep them company. And don't forget the mental toll. Imagine not seeing sunlight for 4 weeks. One of the worst recorded accidents happened in 1983, when 4 saturation divers aboard the rig, Bifford Dolphin, were killed instantly. And yet these divers make big money, up to $1,500 a day. But that paycheck comes with permanent hearing loss, joint pain, and PTSD. Many suffer from long-term neurological issues and early-onset arthritis. But for those who do it, the danger is worth the adrenaline and the 6-figure salary. Question is, would you trade 28 days of underwater hell for a year's worth of income? Number 7, mining blaster. One wrong click and you're dust when we think of mining. Most of us picture men in hard hats digging with pickaxes. A single mistake in timing, placement, or ignition can trigger collapses, rockfalls, or accidental detonations that don't just end careers, they end lives. In the US alone, mining remains one of the deadliest professions, and blasters are at the heart of it. But blasting isn't just dangerous, it's precise. Every charge must be set in the correct pattern, depth, and sequence. And the danger doesn't end when the boom goes off. In some developing nations, illegal mining operations use untrained workers as blasters with homemade or smuggled explosives. Still, the pay is attractive. In higher-risk zones or deeper thoroations, a blaster can earn up to $100,000 per year. Could you hold a detonator, knowing one press might end your life or someone else's? #6. Smoke jumper. Running into fire when everyone else runs out. When most people see a wildfire, they evacuate. They carry up to 100 pounds of gear, including axes, chainsaws, fire shelters, and food for 72 hours. You've got maybe 3 liters of water, a heavy pack, and a flame front racing toward you at 20 miles per hour. There's no helicopter coming. No fire truck rolling in. Just you, your crew, and the fire. Once they land often in rugged terrain with jagged rocks, trees, and unpredictable wind, they begin cutting fire breaks and clearing vegetation, working around the clock to contain the blaze. Smoke, inhalation, heat stroke, falling trees, broken limbs, dehydration, and animal encounters are all part of the job. One missed wind shift and you're surrounded. Slaughterhouse cleaner. The night shift that might kill you, many are ex-military. Others are adrenaline junkies or nature lovers who thrive in extreme environments. But when you dig deeper, the slaughterhouse sanitation job is one of the grimiest, most injury-prone and psychologically scarring jobs out there. In one infamous case, a worker in Arkansas was pulled into a bone pulverizer when his sleeve got caught. And the lack of proper training and you've got a perfect storm of risk. The machine had been accidentally restarted. He died instantly. They're often denied safety gear, forced to work double shifts, and told to just figure it out when equipment malfunctions. OSHA violations are common but rarely enforced strictly. Some workers fear speaking up because they'll lose their job, or worse, be deported. If you ever think about the hands that clean the machines behind that meal, would you do it to send money back home to your family? Many do, but they often pay a price no paycheck can cover. It's dirty, deadly, and hidden in plain sight. The job requires physical tests that would make Navy SEALs sweat. 3-mile runs with gear. Timed pull-ups, pack hikes up steep inclines, and simulated rescues. Many cleaners develop PTSD from the gore they witness. Piles of severed animal heads, organs spilling from clogged drains, and the smell of death clinging to their clothes and skin for days. Some suffer permanent respiratory issues from inhaling caustic fumes. Others develop chronic depression and anxiety. Clean industrial saws, grinders, blood-covered floors, fat-encrusted walls, and conveyor belts. The machinery is massive, sharp, and sometimes still running. If you can't outrun it, your only option is to crawl into a foil fire shelter, a last resort cocoon that can still cook you alive if the fire gets too intense. They suffered chemical burns, lost sleep, and mental trauma, all in the name of cheap labor. When a smoke jumper sees one, they suit up, strap on a parachute, and jump straight into the inferno, often into remote forests with no roads, no backup, and no way out except on foot. Smoke jumpers are elite wildland firefighters who parachute from planes into blazing forests to stop fires before they spread. They deployed their shelters, but the fire was too fast. It was the deadliest day for firefighters since 9/11's. Now, picture this. It's 104 degrees Fahrenheit. The fire is creating its own weather system. You're miles from civilization. It's not just the flames that kill. In 2013, 19 members of the elite Granite Mountain Hotshots were killed in Arizona after a sudden wind change trapped them in a canyon. They do it not for the money, but for the mission, protecting communities and forests from destruction. Heroes, absolutely. But would you leap into a wall of fire? For $20 an hour? Despite the danger, smoke jumpers are known for their grit. Pay surprisingly modest. Most smoke jumpers earn around $18, $24 per hour, with seasonal contracts. Number 5. It might not sound dangerous at first, cleaning equipment after hours in a meat processing plant. These workers, often undocumented immigrants or people with no other employment options, go in after the butchers leave. Their job? According to a ProPublica investigation, dozens of workers have been decapitated, crushed, or electrocuted during late-night shifts because machinery wasn't properly disabled. Add to that the slippery floors coated in blood and grease, the toxic chemicals used for disinfection. Most of these workers are underpaid, unprotected, and unseen. It's not just physical danger. In 2023, shocking scandals surfaced in the U.S. Midwest where children as young as 13 were found working illegal night shifts, cleaning slaughterhouses, as most of the world eats meat. Would you take this job if it was the only one that paid your bills? #4. logging worker death, lurks in the forest. You might imagine loggers as rugged men with beards and flannel shirts cutting trees under the sunlight. But logging is one of the deadliest jobs in America, the world not because of wild animals or bad weather, but because every move is life or death. One wrong cut can send a tree crashing in the wrong direction. When one falls on you, you don't get to learn from your mistake. One overlooked branch can snap like a whip and crush bones. One slippery slope can send a chainsaw flying. Logging workers operate in remote forests, felling trees that weigh several tons, using chainsaws, harvesters, and heavy equipment. In parts of Southeast Asia and South America, legal logging camps force men to work 16-hour shifts in mountainside jungles with no protective gear at all. Workers often stand next to these machines while they're in motion, trusting that the driver has full visibility, which isn't always the case in fog, snow, or thick brush. But even the most seasoned logger will tell you, complacency kills. The fatality rate for loggers is more than 23 times higher than the average profession. And here's the thing. Trees don't give second chances. But real-life EOD techs, explosive ordnance disposal technicians, live that pressure every single day. There's no dramatic music, no guarantee of a second chance, or diffusing unstable homemade devices found in abandoned vehicles. EOD techs face one of the most mentally and physically demanding jobs on Earth. Many were killed instantly. Others bled out before help could arrive. And since many operations take place deep in the wilderness, emergency response can take hours, if they can even get there at all. In 2020 alone, dozens of U.S. loggers died from being struck by falling objects, caught in equipment, or tumbling off steep terrain. You memorize wire colors, battery types, circuit boards, and pressure triggers. You rehearse movements in VR, in classrooms, and in training fields. But when the moment comes, it's just you and the device. They crawl toward suspected devices in 100-degree heat. In full bomb suits that weigh up to 90 pounds, while radio jammers, buzz, and drones scan the terrain. Every sound, every wire, every shadow could be the last thing they ever perceive. In those cases, the goal isn't to save the bomb, but to minimize casualties. EOD techs call these hopeless packages. The dangers go beyond the trees. Logging equipment includes giant harvesters and skidders with blades, cables, and moving arms that can slice a person in two, and an eye while trying to dismantle a pipe bomb disguised as a toolbox. Because if they don't, someone else might die. A soldier, a child, a city block. It had been booby-trapped with a secondary charge triggered by movement to technique terrorists have adopted to kill the very people trained to stop them. Could you stay calm while a 3-ton tree crashes down beside you, hoping it does and tilt 3 degrees more? In developing countries, the risk is even greater. Outdated machinery, no safety training, and long hours make accidents a daily occurrence. And yet, many loggers love their job. They talk about the pride of working outdoors, the strength it builds, the teamwork it requires. Would you spend a day walking under swaying giants and spinning blades? You need nerves of steel, obsessive attention to detail, and a tolerance for adrenaline spikes that would cripple most people. The reward? Respect, brotherhood, and survival, hopefully. Number 3. Bomb disposal technician. The wire you cut could end it all. You've seen it in the movies. The ticking timer, the sweating expert, the final snip. Whether it's disarming improvised explosive devices in war zones, removing World War II era bombs discovered under city streets, let's be clear. One mistake, one misread. It's one faulty tool and they don't get injured. They get vaporized. In the military, EOD units are some of the most respected and elite, and civilian EOD techs aren't much safer. In 2019, a Virginia bomb squad officer lost both hands. The psychological stress is immense. Every mission could be your last. And not all bombs are meant to be diffused. Some are suicide devices meant to explode no matter what you do. Still they go in. In the US, EOD training takes over a year, and the dropout rate is high. Would you trust your life to a pair of wire cutters in your own heartbeat? #2. Undercover narco informant. Living on borrowed time, this isn't a job listed on LinkedIn. It's a life-forward assignment given to those bravor, desperate enough to go undercover inside the deadliest drug cartels on the planet. These individuals, often former criminals themselves, are hired by law enforcement to infiltrate trafficking networks, gain trust, gather intel, and help bring down billion-dollar empires. But the cost? Living every second under the threat of brutal execution. Unlike Hollywood thrillers, real-life informants don't have high-tech gadgets, secret escape hatches, or bulletproof getaways. And when the operation is over, there's no parade. Knowing that they'll kill you slowly if they find out, no badge, no witness protection guarantee. Sometimes they're just dumped back into society with new enemies and a very short clock ticking. In several parts of South Asia and Africa, manual scavengers are hired off in force to climb into sewage systems, septic tanks, and dry latrines, to clean them by hand, with no gear, no mask, no gloves, nothing. They live among killers, carry burner phones, and rely on their wits to survive each conversation. Many work barefoot. Some are even lowered into tight pits with ropes and buckets, breathing in toxic methane, ammonia, and bacteria-ridden air. Human rights groups say the real number is far higher. Some die silently unregistered, unpaid, unmourned. One wrong breath, and they pass out. One delay, and they drown in sewage. Some have been dismembered on camera, others hanged from overpasses as warnings. One delinked informant in 2017 was found with his tongue cut out and a message carved into his chest. He had been discovered texting a handler. These workers suffer from skin diseases, chronic lung infections, TB, hepatitis, blindness, severe mental trauma, every single day, risking life, health, and sanity so that our power stays on. Our food gets processed, our cities stay safe, and our skies stay clean. And share it with someone who thinks their 9-to-5 is rough. They often live in ghettos without running water, sanitation, or access to basic health care. They are not just exploited, they are invisible. Many are hired illegally by contractors who deny any connection when accidents happen. But loopholes, poverty, and discrimination keep it alive. You won't want to miss what's next. Activists have called it modern-day slavery, and they're not wrong. Families of the dead rarely receive compensation. Some widows are forced to take their husband's place to feed their children. One wrong glance, one slip of the tongue, one missing detail, and they disappear, often without a trace. In Mexico, Colombia, Brazil, and even parts of the U.S., cartels are notorious for using torture and public executions on suspected informants. Informants live double lives. They can't confide in family, can't quit without risk. Some receive small payments, $500 here, $1,000 there, but most do it under legal pressure or in exchange for reduced prison time, because you were born into a group society, decided it was untouchable. Imagine dying in darkness, in silence, covered in filth because someone had to do it. That's not just a dangerous job, it's a crime against dignity. Others are mothers, fathers, or even teens forced into the role because a loved one was arrested. The psychological toll is staggering. Constant paranoia, identity confusion, sleepless nights. Some informants turn to drugs themselves just to cope. This job might pay in second chances, but it collects in fear, betrayal, and blood. Could you lie to the most dangerous people on earth? Number 1, manual scavenger. Death by dignity denied. It's hard to believe this job still exists in the 21st century, but it does. They wade through human waste, rotting garbage, animal carcasses, and chemical sludge, sometimes waist-deep, sometimes over their heads. In India alone, according to government data, more than 400 manual scavengers have died in the last 5 years due to asphyxiation, drowning, or collapse. Most of these workers are from marginalized castes or ethnic groups. Manual scavenging is banned on paper. It's not just the physical risk and the pay. Sometimes as low as $2 to $3 per day. Imagine this. Your job is to dive into human excrement. Would you survive a single hour in that pit? So there you have it, 10 of the most dangerous jobs in the world. These aren't viral stunts or crazy challenges. These are real people doing real work. Which one shocked you the most? Which one would you never dare try? Which one made you respect a job you never thought about before? If this list gave you chills or made you rethink what a tough job really means, Hit that like button. Which job shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments. We read them all. And if you want more mind-blowing top 10s every single week, make sure to subscribe and turn on that bell icon. We've got more unbelievable stories coming your way.